Patty, Leather Lady here. We're going to be talking about chinks today, but they are Farrier Chinks. You can apply this to any kind of chinks that you want to make. What is a chinks? It is similar to what chaps are, only a lot shorter, but this is one of the Farrier Chinks that we're going to learn how to duplicate today. You can use this pattern that you're going to duplicate, but you can take this pattern and adjust it however you want and add anything or take away anything. And I'm going to show you something that this farrier showed me about this pair of chinks that can get you out of them just like that. You'll have to watch until almost the end, or where the process is when I put that on there, but this will help you really quick if you're in a dangerous situation with a horse and he loves it, and we're going to duplicate it. These chinks were actually made by a gentleman that's passed away, Mr. Patton. I don't know what his first name is. It looks like Dean Patton maybe, and hopefully I do him proud in duplicating his pair of chaps for the farrier that loves them. All right, so let's get going. I'm going to adjust the camera here. So this one here is just worn out. He's got some stitching here. I might even just fix it for him, that kind of a thing. He's got a pocket, which he wants 2 pockets on there. And then I'm not sure how we're going to do that with that. We might have to make this smaller to put the pocket. And that's okay. We're going to just figure that out because he definitely wants 2 pockets. So probably have to make this a little bit smaller. He wants to have this on here for his, normally there's like a different design on here and it'll have like conchos on it. But this is actually for his strap. And that's all he needs on that. So he just, this is the style that he wants. There's also his yoke here is a different kind of yoke. Now, when you're looking at making chinks or chaps, there are different kinds of yokes. This one here, I didn't have a pattern for, but I could make a pattern off of it. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And then you have your back strap, you have your front strap, and that kind of a thing. Now the fringe on any chinks usually are cut straight from the pattern of the big base piece, okay? You can add a double fringe, you can twist the fringe, you can do all kinds of things, but this is just a basic pattern for farriers. All right, and then there is a supportive piece on the back side for this because that's where the buckle is for his leg. All right, so I'm going to set this aside. I unfortunately already cut the pieces. Let me set this aside. I've already cut the pieces, but let's discuss the type of leather that you want to use, okay? You want to pick a heavier suede. So with this is a heavier pearl suede, which most of your farrier chaps are made out of. And don't ask me why they always want a light color, because as you saw, the whole knee area was just black. But you can get suede in other colors. Just make sure that they're heavy. But your standard farrier chap is pearl. It's called pearl, and it's usually a heavy weight, okay? In order to do a pair like I'm going to be doing here, it is half a hide. So you want to get half of a hide, and it will run you, well, it depends on when you're watching this video. This is 2026. So if you're watching this, then it's probably about $110 to $120 a side. So it can run about $6.50 a square foot, or it could run a little bit higher. It just depends. Okay, so just ask your supplier how much it's going to run you. But that's what you're going to get, half a hide and the heavier suede. Okay, so what you're going to do next is you're going to have to make a pattern. Now, I've already made my patterns, and what we want to do is, most of the time you can make your small wallet patterns and things like that out of like cardboard box, cereal box, all that kind of stuff. But when you're getting into the bigger patterns, it's hard to do that. So what I did is I went, and I use it a lot anyway, is I went and bought at Amazon, I bought a roll of craft paper. Now you can get a heavier butcher paper, that kind of a thing, but I bought a roll because I use it for a lot of different things. So right now what we'll do is we'll make the pattern, but later when I go and want to lay out the pieces, because we are dealing with pearl and so it's a very, very light color. What I don't want to do is get anything on it. So this is a leather shop and I do all kinds of projects in here. So what happens is I might get a drop of oil on there or a drop of a cleaner on there and it won't come out. So I want to make sure that I keep his product or his chinks clean, clean, clean. So I'll lay a big piece down while I'm putting it all together before I sew it. All right. So you can use this for like putting on your table for adhesives, spraying your adhesives, just laying it down. If you're going to be doing anything with dyes or anything like that, you can double layer it, and it's very inexpensive. So I would strongly suggest to get that. And if you use something else, put it in the comments. That's great. I mean, you could also make, all right. So I cut this out. So what I did was, this is the right leg, okay? And when I laid it down, so all I did was lay the piece of fabric down, or the old chink down. And my paper is underneath it. And then I'm just gonna trace it. But as you see, what I did was, I traced it all the way from where the fringe, because I wanna know how that fringe, because it is not, this gentleman probably made these by memory, not by pattern. And if he did it by pattern, he just did it really quick. Like I said, he made lots and lots of these for the Farrier School. So what I did was I made the pattern, but I also made it giving it a little bit more room, because these is where the fringe is going to go. And I just need to know where the fringe starts and where the fringe is going to stop. Now, I'll probably just trim all that once I'm done so it's nice and rounded. But you can see that I just laid this on top of, a huge sheet of paper and just did a pencil drawing around it, okay? And you don't have to do all this, but you could do a right leg and then you could do a left leg. I mean, as far as you could do 2 of these, but it's very easy. You're gonna take and write down right leg, you're gonna flip it over and it's gonna say left leg. So you have one pattern, they're exactly the same, and you're just gonna flip it over, okay? And then what you're gonna do too is you can put your lines where your yoke is gonna go, okay? It just is helpful to me in the placement of things. Now he has a very different kind of buckle leather, so he has like a little clover. So I want to make sure that I do that for him as well. So that just shows me, it just tip points for me as well. And then I'm going to cut out his pockets. So I write on here how many I need to make, and if I need 2 each, left and right, and then I need, and these are folded in half, so you can actually do a half of a side and then just duplicate it and open it. Me, I just like to do this. This is my way. There's always a million ways, but you could just do half of a side so that they're equal on the other side. I just folded it in half and trimmed it, and so now I have a whole piece. So, but I needed 4 of those. So you always want to write on there, right? Then we have, this is the original size, but remember, and I also put where it's going to go on the pattern, because I don't want to place it too far left, too far right, anything like that. So it goes right here on this. However, remember, he wants 2 pockets. So I'm going to have to go and adjust this probably to be more of a I don't know, football looking kind of a thing, rather than completely round, because he wants 2 pockets, so I have to adjust the knee pad, or the knee thing. All right. And then we got to look at, okay, how many straps we need, what other we need. So this is the part that is going to go here to support it. So I need 2 of those, so I can put it down and then flip it over, and now I got to make 2, one for the right, one for the left. So I have to flip them over. If I were to do 2 this way, the other side would not have this angle, because it would be this angle and you would be all messed up. So you want to make sure you do that. And then of course this is for the long piece that he has on the side of his chinks. Okay. So when I'm done with doing all that, okay, I take pictures of everything. So I'll take a picture, because maybe he'll come back and say, hey, I really need those. Can I borrow them back? And are you still using them? And I'll say, yeah, go ahead and take them, because I've already taken a series of pictures, how I want to make sure I'm putting the placements correct. That's just the way I do it. But then I also go ahead, and because there's no straps here, I go ahead and write myself a list of what I need, and to make sure that I can complete it. So on here, I'll write straps. Okay, straps. I need the fringe side, and then I need the front straps, and I need the back belt straps, and what I need to cut. So what size do I need? Is it a 1/4 inch by 17 inch? If you're using millimeters and that kind of stuff, you guys got to do the calculations, because we're US, we do inches. But you want to, and for me, I just make the notes, and then I need, what kind of buckles do I need? Do I have to order buckles? Do I have any buckles in my inventory that can go ahead and do that? So this is just the way that I do it, and it helps me keep myself organized and everything. Once I'm done with these, I make sure that I put all the pieces together, and I roll this guy up. I mean, you can do it however you want. All my patterns, believe it or not, are on one of those clothes racks, hanging clothes racks, and they're in big plastic bags, and they're in alphabetical order, because I do a lot of work, and if I have to turn around and make something really, really quick, I need to go get the pattern, move fast, and get it done. So. Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna try to keep everything nice and clean. So I went down and I laid down a piece of this paper here, so that I can keep things clean. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one side at a time. And what I did too, I didn't mention when I did the pieces. So both sides look pretty much the same, although there is a prettier side than the other side. And also when you get your hide, it'll have like markings. I think this one had like a stamp of $2.25 in it. It might have a sticker with the price in it. That's your back side, so you want to use that face up. So that is when you go to cut it, you're going to want to make sure that's face up, and put the pretty side on there. One thing I will tell you right now while I get into this, when you order your hide, you're going to see that they either roll it, ship it to you and roll it, or they fold it. In order to get it not folded, I hate it when they fold it, and this I did not request it to be sent with it rolled. And because it makes creases, and it will make creases. So you need to ask your suppliers, please ship it rolled. Okay. This really sort of irked my butter, and they know better. You know, it's just, it does cost more to ship it because it's an odd size. But I would rather pay the extra and have a nice smooth piece than having it creased. It sort of pisses me off. So sorry about that, but that's, and you'll see there's some light coloring in here and stuff, but I'm not worried about that because that's going to be more for the thing. The other thing too is, okay, so how do you know when you do your pattern that you have the right side up or not? So whenever I cut my piece, I have to think about where it's going to go, what it's going to be on. Okay. So I mark the back. because this is going to be hidden with the sewing, so I can mark on the back, back, back. Now this is the front piece, so I need to mark, and I put it where there's I put it where there is going to be the yoke so that it gets covered up. You can use, there's invisible pens and things like that that you can use. What I did to mark this, it was marked in pencil. I can either go ahead and erase it, but because it's the back, it's not going to be seen. Okay, so I'm not worried about that. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is start placing things on here, and I might have to refer back to my pictures or go look at the piece that I have here. So this is his, let's see, this is going to be his right leg. His right leg, okay, and this is the front, so I want to be making sure that I'm putting the pieces in the correct place. All right, my hands, I've got to wash them all the time or wear a pair of gloves. This got bent, which I don't like, but we'll get that taken care of. I think that was when I was doing it. Okay, so I need to focus in on, this is the back, so this is for the left side. This is the back for the right side. I need that to go there. I've got 2 pockets. Okay, and if I remember right, see, I've got to look back because I want to make sure he's getting exactly what this elder man made. Okay. So I might even go and lay it up, okay, because I'm not quite sure how he has it. So he has them at an angle, and you got to remember this is going to be all fringe, so you can't put them here. You have to get your ruler out and measure how long is this fringe going to be, because you don't have your pattern anymore to mark it. And you can mark it with a pencil, and I will go and I will mark it where I'm going to start cutting and how far I'm going to cut. But I need to know at this point about how long. So the fringe is not going to be the same all the way around as far as length. You have to understand what your fringe is. Your longest fringe is almost 5 inches. So your longest fringe down here is probably going to be to here. Okay, and then you're just going to actually cut it so that it, and then you need to cut it so that it's falling this way. Now he's got his, okay, I'm going to put this over here because we're working with the right side. I'm just helping to, so you can see this as an angle. Okay, there's this one here, and it's almost at the bottom. And we've got to figure about 4 inches in, because that's going to be about 4 inches. That's exactly 4 inches, boy. I've been doing this too long. Okay. And so he wants it angled straight down. Okay. So that's one. But see how this is here? It's buckled. So you got to know that it's not going to be that. It's not going to be that way. It's going to be like this. Okay, how am I going to do that? I'm going to put this piece here on first so that it's nice and stiff. And then I'm going to go ahead and mark where I want to tack it down. And then I'll sew it. Okay, because I'll tack it down on the top. And then I'll sew the rest around. Okay, thing we're going to do on this is go ahead and put this piece on, trim it, make it so that it's going to be this way, put the buckle, and then what I do a lot, and then there's going to be that same thing next to it, which is really going to interfere with that circle on his knee. I might, okay, here's what I think I'm going to do, and I'm going to call him. So I will ask him, do you want the pocket a little bit lower and the other pocket up here so you have still that round circle? And I can take that round circle. See, this is where you can play with it. Okay, he needs that round circle about right there. I can take it and do it this way so he doesn't lose any of that for his knees, okay? And this is actually going to go way up here. But see if he wants them on top or if he wants to lower them. So what I'll do here is I'll take a picture of this, I'll send it to him, and I will ask him, do you want it here, or do you, and I'll take another picture, and how do you want it, like here? Because that's gonna get in the way of his leg, or his knee. So that is a huge concern for me, and I'm thinking that most likely he's gonna wanna do it this way. But that's the next step, is to go ahead and place your pieces on here. I haven't even gotten to the yoke yet because we haven't even discussed the yoke, but that's going to be my last thing that I discuss, okay? And the yoke is this part here that we need to design. But that definitely I need to know what he wants to do, because it will also affect how much fringe he has. Because if I have to put him here, then I want to move this out, and his fringe is going to be really short here. And it's going to look a little funky, or I need to do this. I need to figure out how to make a circle here that is half that size, just for his knee. And this will go here. So it's up to him how he wants to do it. So we're going to stop the video. We're going to go ahead and I'll let you know what he has decided, and we'll keep putting it together. This is the easy part. The cutting out and everything else takes more time. And what I'll do is I'll show you next on how to tack it down and what to do, because this is leather. You can't really put pins through it. So I'll show you some tricks. All right, we'll see you in a minute. All right, everybody, I'm going to turn this a little bit so you guys can see it. And back here, I heard back from him and what he wants to do. And I'm going to have to do what's called a mock-up, because he wants to have them sort of like this. However, he's like, please check and make sure I don't have to be contorted to be able to get the knives out. I have a couple concerns that it's this way, because you've got knives coming here, which hopefully they're not any longer than here. And then you've got knives coming up here. This one I'm not worried about, but here I just want to make sure that this is all sewed down nice, because once you start putting those knives in there, it's going to start cutting this here. So making this part wear out. Okay, so I also have to double check in my fringe, because here's where the fringe is going to go, right? So I'm cutting to make sure. So what I've done is I've shortened it a little bit down here. So it's going to come up to right about here. So this is going to be my edge, and I've only got 3 inches. So I might even consider, because if you look at his old chaps, his old chinks, there's a difference. You don't see a bunch on the bottom being used as much as this top where his knee is. So I might be able to just move these in a little bit, because he's not really touching that bottom part. Okay, so I think that's what I probably will do. Otherwise, if we cut the fringe, and we may move these in, just because, and I'm gonna double check with his other ones, because we want to make sure that the fringe is sort of the same all the way around for consistency. So there we go. We got about 3.5 inches in. So this is where I'm going to do the mock-up, and then what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try them on. I'm just going to lightly put it on for the pockets. So I just want to see if those pockets are going to work, that he can take his knife and get them out really easy, really quick. And I'm thinking that with that angle, they should be actually a little bit easier, especially because he's right-handed. Now, if we did this for left-handed, we would have to reverse everything, okay? So, but we want to make sure they're that way. So my next step is I'm going to go ahead and tape those down with double-sided tape. Plus, I'm probably going to leave the tape, if it works really, really well, because it helps when you go to sew it. We have double-sided tape where you can buy it in different widths depending on your project. I use it a lot just because it helps me when I go and sew. If it's on rough out, I don't like adding glue or anything like that because you can't get it off. With the double-sided tape, you can get it off. It's a little bit of a pain, but you use some alcohol to take it off, and it just disintegrates. And alcohol doesn't stain, doesn't leave watermarks or anything like that. And another thing too, let me move this back down again. I went ahead and did his yokes. So I did a basket weave on his yokes. I used the same basket weave and everything that the other person had. So when we use these cuts and everything, they'll look just like the original ones that he had before. So these ones are on 5/6 ounce as far as what I used here. And then I'll bevel the edges on the back side to get rid of that rough out look kind of a thing. And then we'll go ahead and dye them, condition them, and then get them ready to sew on. Now be really, really careful, guys. When you have things like this, you can go ahead and, you know, they're not dyed, so it's not a problem. But when you get things like this, do not roll these kind of things up. I stupidly did, because you know what? I'm human. I make mistakes like you too. Luckily, I have more suede to work with, but what it did was it made a mark. Okay, it made a mark. Now, is that the front side? Oh, just flip it over. Well, unfortunately, I put the little letter B there, but I can get that out because it's a, what do you call that? Invisible pen, you can take it out. But this will have to go back on the flaps on the back side, which is fine because it doesn't matter on the knee part. It's gonna get looking like that other piece anyway. So do not put anything dyed on your pearl or light leathers, and keep all the pieces together. Keep your dyed things separate. Keep your raw things separate. Clean away from anything that's dyed or stained. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, so I've got the pocket sewn on. So everything is ready. Working with pearl is extremely hard, especially you've got to keep your sewing machine clean, clean, clean. However, now I was going to make the little pieces that I have to put the buckle on here. I'm gonna trim this a little bit, put the pieces. So they're gonna look like this, all right? So it's gonna have this on both sides, same thing. It's gonna have a hole in the center for the buckle, but I wanted to come on and show you that you're gonna have to hand make these a lot of the times, and you have to sort of go by what they have. So I didn't want to do it all by hand. I wanted to have it like symmetrical a little bit. So what I did is I took a hole punch, okay, and that hole punch, I just leaned it sideways and hammered it in a little bit because I don't want it cutting a complete hole. But you can take your thing and put it sideways a little bit to at least get the shape. But what I did is I made one side, and then I measured how long that's going to be on that strap, and then I folded over, and then I took it and I measured it. I'm going to make a pattern off of this so that I have them for the future in case he wants more. And then I made a pattern, and then I made a duplicate. I made a duplicate on here that you can see. I do it on the back side, but it comes out a little rough, okay? But what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna just take a little piece of fine sandpaper and put the edges down because I can't really bevel them a little bit. And I put holes in the middle because those are gonna be for the rivets, okay? So that's all I'm gonna do with this. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm not gonna dye these, I'm gonna stain them. And if I need to trim off a little bit, I need to trim off because like I said, you're making them by hand. You don't have, unless you can afford to have all these dies. Dies are expensive. One small die is going to be 60 bucks. But also too, you're getting away from the actual craft of it. Okay. So definitely want to do that. Okay, and then I'll put the hole in the center where the buckle is going to go through. And I'll show you when I get them both done and both dyed. And then we can go from there. Now I'm using a pencil to mark because I can erase that. But I want to make sure the top part looks nice and neat. And I will finish the other one and show you when I get done with these. Not too bad, not too shabby. Still got to work on them a little bit. Okay, so I've got one side. I got the pockets on. I got this done. I've got this one in a little bit because I've been having a feeling that he's going to need that little bit extra room for that extra tool up there because it's a little higher up on his hip and I don't want him to have to be a contortionist to get to it. So, but this is done on this side. I have messed up, okay? I am human, and it's not going to be a very hard fix. Where can you? I would like to know if you have made chinks before, where you can see the mess or the mistake. Okay, I made a mistake. Where is it on here? Okay, find it. Okay, it is right here. I'm going to move this over. It is right here. So I could leave that, it's not a problem. This is just supportive of that area because your legs rub in that area, but this should actually be on the underside, and that's what I've done on this other one. It goes on the underside, okay? So you want to really have it on the underside. It makes it a lot better for the thing. So I will switch it over, and I will actually sew right along that because I have the same amount of stitchings. The other thing is, that the only thing I have left to do is I need to put the yoke on. I need to sew that on, and then I need to go ahead and put the attachments. So we have the yoke here, but then you got to put the belt, and then I got to put the straps on. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to keep this nice and clean away. And the other thing too, FYI, so I got a little bit of ink from my pen on it. And what you can do, you can't really see it anymore, is that the ink is, you take it off with 99 or 91 above alcohol. If you get ink on your leather, you don't rub it. Especially on suede, you don't rub it. You go ahead and get yourself a little Q-tip with some alcohol on it and dab, 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 dab. And then if it isn't gone, then come back and dab, 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 dab. And gradually it will go away because it was right in here and you don't see it. I still have a little bit left. I'm going to go back and do that as well. Not quite sure how that happened, but and then you just take your brass brush and brush it up and it's all good as new. So this one is finished. We're ready to put on the yoke and the straps and it will be done. This is the second piece. And what I wanted to do on this piece is show you, it's pretty much the same. But I want to show you why you want to have, when your leather is shipped to you, you want to have it rolled. Okay, I'm going to get in here and say, get your leather rolled. Don't let them fold it up and ship it, okay? Because this is what happens. There is a crease. Keisha, what are you eating? No. This is a crease. And this is not going to go away, but do you see how dirt is going to come on this? So what I can do is I can wet it a little bit with some alcohol. Don't use water because you'll get lines. Use alcohol. Isn't this fun doing it this way? And put it on here and then fold it the opposite way. And you can press it down and try to get it that way. It'll sort of come out with wear and tear for him, but this is because it was shipped folded. We don't want to have it shipped folded, okay? You want to get them to ship it rolled, okay? It'll help you, and then it'll determine if they've been taking care of their inventory well or not. So number one is done, except for the yoke and the straps, and then we're going to get this one done. We'll go for the next step. All right, see you on the next step. All right, guys. So I've done a lot with these. I actually have one side completely finished, and then I realized, oh my gosh, I'm not showing all of it. if you want to make a pair of chinks and you want to take a class, I do teach a class on making chinks and chaps, things like that. I have classes of basic leather and everything. So you just have to go on my website, The Leather Lady LLC, what kind of class you want to do. If you're a beginner, best way to do it is pick a DIY kit. We'll send it to you. We can send you all the tools for it. And we can do an online class live. Okay? So what I did is I cut out one of these guys here. And this is for the outside here. I have to go ahead and make the holes here. This is going to go on the edge, just like this one. Oh, I don't know if you can see that down there, but here we go. Now with this, you're going to see that I've got paper under this all the time, because when you sew this, so this is going to go on here like this. It's going to go on a little bit deeper than that. There we go. And that's just going to hold that on. There's 3 rivets because this is a real pressure point on these chaps, because these going to be pulling on the front strap. And when I get them all together, then I will show you a picture of what they are finished. However, that will go on next. I have to punch the holes there. I had the holes. Remember my goof? All right. Remember I had to go back and take this piece and put it on the inside. Could you tell that I did that other than I need to trim some threads? No, you can't, because you can do that. Again, here goes that stupid fold there, which really POs me off that it got folded there when they shipped it. But one thing, the straps that I'm putting on, okay, what I did is I dyed them. These are a dark brown, and I dyed them. I punched the holes all the way to the end because I don't know. He's a little bit heavier there in the waist, so I don't know if he wants to go all the way in. Also, his other straps were all the way to the end. I do need to punch holes and rivet them in, and we'll do that next. However, I did that. Then we did these. I had to make the same. These are about 1.25 inches, so that when he keeps putting his tools in here, that it does stand up, you know, holding them pretty good. So I rivet these down in the corners after I stitch, because again, this is a pressure point. He's putting his tools in there. Now here's another tip that a lot of people don't know. Okay, because this is a thicker leather. If it's not bending the way that you want it to, wet it. So this is how we do wet molds. You're gonna have a problem because you have to wet it, mold it, and let it completely dry. Even if you put Resolene and everything on this part, it still can bleed. Okay, so you don't want it to bleed, but you can also do that to wet it to mold it, okay? So what I did is I punched holes in the corners, and I'm gonna go ahead and rivet those down. Now underneath here, I've got everything with paper up to the steel. If you do not have one of these little steels, go to your local steel shop and say, I need a scrap of steel to pound on. You're not going to pound directly on it, but it's great for doing your rivets and things like that. If you have a clicker die, those kind of things. But it's great for pounding out your rivets, because when they give you rivets, they give you these little things here. Hang on. They give you these little things here, and if I put that underneath, it slides around, it moves. I hate that. So I just keep these in here for emergency purposes, but you'll see I have all different kinds, different sizes because of what I do. All right. So I made the holes. I'm just going to show you how to do a simple rivet. This one here, I've already done all the other sides. Excuse me. And I'm going to put that on there. And you know what? You can use a mallet. You can use a rubber mallet. You can use whatever you want. I like to use something heavy, so I use my hammer. I'm gentle with it, but there we go. And then that rivet set. I'm using smaller rivets here, but when we get to the buckle, the belt buckle, Then I'm going to go ahead and use the bigger rivets because, again, that's a pressure point. He's going to be yanking on that all the time. These little ones, they're great for not so much heavy pressure, but they are good for like what I'm doing right here to hold your pockets in place. Again, you could just stitch them. I personally like to extra enforce them and make them so that they don't have to come back to me in a few months and say, hey, the stitching came undone because their tool cut it or whatever. I do this with knife sheaths, with axe sheaths, all kinds of things because I do not want to have them return. Okay, so let's see here. Got it a little dirty. I'll show you how to clean that off in a minute. There's an end of a thing here. That's fine. I can go ahead and take my lighter and shorten it. There, it's gone. Okay, some little tricks there. Okay, so we have the pockets on. This top one, he's probably going to want to just stretch out a little bit, or he can get his tools in there. It'll bend. It'll bend enough to get his tools in there. So that one and this one here. We did our fringe. We got the fringe. Can't remember if I showed how to do fringe on here. I will go through that with you here in a second. But we also have the yoke done. So what I did with this yoke, it's a 5/6 ounce, more 6 ounce, and it is a basket weave, simple basket weave. This was the edging that he had. He wanted it like the last one, and then it is just like the last one. You can glue this down to your hide inside. I did, to get it set, I used some tape just to make sure that I had it. Now when I did it, it stuck out a little bit, so I just trimmed it. It doesn't have to be exact, so you can have a little bit there. Is with his yoke. Now on this other yoke, I'm gonna pull this because we're getting ready to do this other side. So this one here has his front strap. It has the back of the belt part of the buckle, and so this one is done. If you're doing these, get yourself a stamp. You can emboss that by just hammering it down onto your leather. But if you're going to do this for yourself, even just to make things for your family, how fun is that to put your name on it? So this is just the Leather Lady. It's got a horse with the LLL through it, and it says Leather Lady LLC, made in Oregon. Okay, so that's that. So this side, you guys, is completely done. I don't think you can see that very well, but this is completely done. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and finish this side. I keep laying it on the paper because I don't want to get it dirty and I don't want to have to clean. All right. I keep it all the way up to this point. Okay, so what we have to do now is we have to put the other side of the buckle on here. Okay, so I am having that dry. Where did I put it? So this is a darker only because it is not dry yet. Okay, and you got to be really careful. It does have Vaseline on it. By the time tomorrow morning it dries, and I will put it on before I head out because I don't want to put it on right now. Well, I could probably do that because I'm using this buckle here. You can use whatever kind of buckle you want. All right. But I can really smell this yet, so I don't want to really put it on until it's dry. But what I can do is I can set my holes. Whoops. I can set my holes. Now the way to set your holes is tomorrow this will probably be the same color as the pockets. Not so much here, just a little bit more like the pockets when it's dry. But what you can do is mark your holes, get those ready. So all you have to do is put your rivets in, boom, you're done. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. We're also gonna do the buckle in the front. And then we're going to put the straps on so he can buckle his legs, okay? Because we have that, remember the buckle here, but what's it gonna buckle to? You gotta buckle the strap in the back, and this is how they do them for the Farriers. So I'll show you when I get that done. So let me go ahead and make these holes here and get these in here. I'll make the holes here. And again, I'm not showing you the whole process. The idea is if you want to learn how to do this step by step by step by step, is take a class. And I do classes like that. So, but I just want to show you the process of how it's done and everything. So we didn't talk about measuring either, how to measure for a pair of chaps or chinks, but that's for another day, guys. All right, so let me get this going and I'll show you when I am done putting the holes in and finishing this part. See you in a minute. All right, I'm going to show you how to cut some fringe. It's very, very easy, but you are going to need, I've got an awfully large L-shaped angle here, but you want to definitely have one of these. It helps out a ton. Even if you get a small one, say on Amazon or whatever, get a metal one because you don't want plastic. If you use one of these and it's plastic, you may cut into the plastic. You don't want to do that. Please use a metal. Some of them have a nice backing, like a tape on there that has some cork on it so it doesn't move. Those are really, really great. But we're going to go ahead and show you how to do the fringe on these, okay? Just a really quick video. If you really want to learn how to cut fringe or twist fringe, things like that for your chaps, chinks, that kind of a thing, you got to take a class. And we do have classes on that as well. Go on my website and look there. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to move the camera. Say you are going to go ahead and, like, these chaps here, these chinks here are at an angle, so they have to go around. These are 1/4 inch fringe, and I had to do my best as to make a little line with a pencil, and you can actually do that with a pencil. You can actually use a scratch mark, depending on your leather. But what you're gonna do is, say you're gonna put fringe down here on the edge. Depends on how long you want it, how long you want to hang. If you're making a bag, sometimes you're looking at 12-inch, I see purses with almost 12, 18-inch fringe on their tote bags and things like that. But it all just depends on what you want to do and what project you're working. This is only 4-inch at the longest, and then it tapers down to 2-inch. And so there's that there. So all you're going to do, if you're going to do 1/4 inch, or you're going to do anything less, you're going to just sort of go to the edge. You're going to make yourself a mark or whatever you want to do. I don't want to use pen. I don't want to use pencil. But I want to start right here. Let me just go ahead and grab a pencil. I'll do pencil, okay? Just to make it easier for you guys. And I'm going to go down here because I don't want to waste a lot of leather. So all you're going to do is say you need this is your top part, and you need it to be 1 inch away from the edge, okay? So here's my edge that I'm going to start cutting. I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't. Let me do this here. Okay, so this is just for learning. Don't do this, okay? But say your purse starts 1 inch up, and you want that to be 1 inch up. So you're gonna go ahead and start 1 inch up. Or if you just want to start at the edge and you want the fringe to go all the way there, that's all you're gonna do. So you want to hold your L ruler down, angle down. I can't even think of the name. I'm so tired. This is the end of the day. I'm doing this at 9 o'clock at night, guys. I'm tired. But you want to go to a 1/4 inch. So here's your first line. So you're going to cut that. I'm using a box knife, but you can use a roller. I'll show you the best kind if you're doing thin leather. If you're doing thin leather, please use one of these rolling ones, because these work real nice. Super nice. for fringe. Make sure it's sharp no matter what you're using. If it's not sharp, it's gonna fray the leather and you don't wanna do that. And then you would cut here, okay? But I don't wanna do that because this is sort of thick, so I'm gonna use a box knife. Now I've been cutting all this fringe here on these chinks, so it's dull. I don't have any more blades tonight, and I'm not gonna go change them out, but here we go. So you're gonna just go to the inch or the 1/4 inch, and you're gonna slowly cut down. You're gonna put pressure here, so you're holding this, and you're gonna cut down. Now it is moving, so you've got to be, we're using the edge. Do not put your fingers where the blades are. Do not hold it down here, guys. Okay, so you've got one thread, or you got one fringe. Woo! Okay, somebody's gonna say, well, go to the next one and do it. No, do not do that because you have no pressure there. If you do that and go to the next one, you may go off, you may go this way or whatever. You want to have some type of pressure so that you can keep nice, straight. And I told you, don't put your finger there, right? And then I do it. Oh my gosh, that's bad. But you want to keep it straight, okay? And then, because this is the end of this, this is why it's hard to do this. Okay. So anyway, you're going to keep going, and you're going to do that, and say, okay, this is all rough on the end. So then you just go ahead and take your ruler when you're done. Say this is your fringe, and you want to make it nice and straight. Then you cut it off at the end. That's why you give yourself a little bit of room. Again, my knife is very dull tonight, so ignore that. But then you have nice straight fringe, okay? Okay guys, they are done. They are done, okay? Completely finished. And I am brushing them up just to make them a little bit clean. I'm using a brush, suede brush. We sell these at the store. Well, not the store, online store. But yeah, I'm just touching these up. It gets some of the dirt off. If you have some oil stains, that's why you gotta, and I'm gonna leave them on this paper, and I'm probably gonna put another piece of paper over it until the client comes to pick them up. But here we have the strap for the front. The other side has the buckle. We've got this strap here. Now what I did here, guys, I'm going to tell you here, because this is a real pressure point. So I used a copper burr and rivet there. But what I did is, if you don't have a little plastic washer for those, you can make one. So all you have to do is, you know, just use your largest punch and then put a smaller punch. Once you have that piece out, go like this. This is my, well, it's not quite the largest punch I have, but the one I used. But then I take and I punch a hole in there, and then I use that for a leather washer. If you don't have a washer for that, it's important to put a washer on both sides. I put a heavier washer inside, just so it doesn't rip on him, because he's pulling on those, getting them around his leg, or if a horse got his foot in there, he's got it around his leg. Definitely want to have that secured a little bit. Definitely want to do that. So I hope this was helpful. If you would like to learn a class or a workshop of either the video that you have seen or something that you do want to learn, go to theleatherladyllc.com. We do these classes online as well. So the way that would work is you pick a class, email us if you want to have all the tools and the leather and everything that goes with that class. We can ship that to you for another additional fee. But we want to teach everybody around the United States of how to do leather work. And we can do this online. We do it through a live video. And if it's a class, it'll be four sessions. If it is a workshop, it may be 1 or 2. DIY is a great way to learn. We'll send you the kit and the tools if you want to do the class or workshop. So go to theleatherladyllc.com, see the classes that we offer. If you don't see a class that we offer or a workshop that we offer, please send us an email. We may have that in the works. We just may not have it listed yet. I love you guys. Thank you for watching my channel. Thank you for going to my website. And I hope to see you on the next video or in a class or workshop.